In this video, I'm going to discuss in detail about every single BTO project in February 2026. But before we go into the details, I thought I want to give you a high-level summary first. So which projects are my personal choices? I think for February, because the option is very limited, it's very clear-cut. The winner for me would be Bukit Merah. The location is great, it's in a mature town and only 350 meters away from Redhill MRT station. By the way, the location of this spot is exactly next to Redhill Peaks that was launched in October. So I'm guessing that this project will be slapped with prime classification as well, and the entry price would be more or less the same. Maybe slightly higher, but should not be too significant. And then the runner-up for me is actually the spot at Tampines Central. So it is slightly further away from MRT station, which is about 650 meters away from Tampines MRT station. However, it is quite good in terms of amenities, and if you like the east area, it also provides you good schooling options for families as well as potentially high resale value down the line. However, the watch out is for Tampines, there are two projects in February. So one is Tampines Central, which is this one, and then the other one is at Tampines Avenue, which is further away from the MRT station. So that one is about 1.1 kilometer away from Tampines MRT, but there are quite a lot of buses pass through just in front of the spot. So if you are open-minded to take bus, actually that project is not that bad either. And then if you are looking for value for money option, I would say the two Sembawang projects are potential hidden gems. Just looking at the flat types that is being offered there, both of them have 5 rooms, so I think for sure they will be classified as standard project. As it is right now, both projects are far away from any MRT station. So one location is 1.2 kilometers away from Sembawang MRT station, and then the other one is even further with 1.5 kilometer to Sembawang MRT station. However, if you look at the broader picture and think about the Sembawang Shipyard Transformation Project, you know, these two BTOs might significantly increase in terms of value if you are thinking about, let's say, 10 years down the line. There are also some prediction that with the Sembawang Shipyard Transformation, soon or later, this area would get its own MRT station, which should be nearer to these two BTO sites. So you can imagine that if these two projects are being offered at an affordable price, and then in the future there will be an MRT station, and then the Sembawang Shipyard Transformation, assuming it will goes well. So these two probably would be the hidden gem later on. But again, we are really banking on the Sembawang Shipyard Transformation to be really happening in the timeline that we expect it to be. So I would say buy these two projects if you are interested for own stay, but don't hope too much about the transformation, because you know, we don't know for sure like when will it actually happen, because as you know, a lot of things could happen in this world, right? That could be like global economic crisis or something like that, we don't know. And then next is which project would be best for singles and seniors? Well, if you look at the 2-room flexi allocation, it seems like Bukit Merah, Sembawang Drive, as well as Toa Payoh location has the most allocation for first-timer singles. So I'm planning to make a separate video on, you know, best 2-room flexi in February, but this is the top line information. So yeah, that's my thought about the February 2026 at a high level. So here's the summary of all location offered in February. So unfortunately, there are only 2 location that is within walking distance to MRT station. But then remember, in February, there should be SBF as well. That is why the BTO locations offered in February is very limited, because we will have a lot of SBF to choose from. And with that, let's discuss in detail every single project in February 2026 BTO launch. Let's talk about the Redhill BTO. And if you think the location looks familiar, you're not wrong, because the neighboring plot was just released in October 2025 BTO, and this giant plot is just next to it. The Redhill BTO will host about 1,040 units of 2-room flexi, 3-room, and 4-room flats. In terms of facilities, it will host a preschool and residence network center. Considering this is a mega project of more than 1,000 units, it's actually quite interesting that the on-site facilities are not more diversified. But I guess this is because the location is in a mature town where there are already plenty of amenities within walking distance. So I guess that's why HDB did not put a lot of on-site facilities here. According to Google Map, this BTO will be located about 350 meters away from Redhill MRT station. So the location is even better than Redhill Peaks that was launched in October 2025. In terms of classification, I think this project will be a prime. Why? Well, because the next door neighbor, Redhill Peaks, is categorized as a prime. So it doesn't make sense if this Redhill plot is being classified as something else. So I bet that the pricing will be similar and the classification is also similar. Now let's talk about the location. So this is the map that HDB gave, and if we look at Google Map, this is the corresponding location. As you can see, this is a huge giant plot. That's why it can host more than 1,000 units. If you are wondering where's the MRT is just right here. So Redhill MRT is over here. It's about 350 meters away, so definitely within walking distance. In terms of amenities, as you can see on the map, actually the location is already pretty much built. So for example, you can get a hawker center around here. This is Bukit Merah View Market and Hawker Center. And then there's another hawker center and market here, but it's closed right now. But I think it should be open by the time that this BTO is completed. Comment down below if that's not the case. And then along this road, there are plenty of restaurants and shops as well. And then if you are willing to take a bus ride, you can also find the ABC Brickwork Market and Food Center here. And then IKEA is over here, as well as other eateries, of course. Alexandra Village Food Center is here. And then if you need some health facilities, Alexandra Hospital is also right over here. So it's like a short bus ride away. If you would like to exercise, the Active SG gym and also swimming complex is just over here. So you just need to cross the road. It's just several blocks away. And of course, being so close with Redhill MRT station, it will be a short commute if you are working in the CBD area. And also because Jalan Bukit Merah is a major road, you will be able to find plenty of buses to go to different parts of the town. Now, in terms of school options, as HDB has indicated, there are several schools nearby, both for primary and also secondary school. So I think that would be helpful for families with young children. There are quite a lot of schools, so I think it should not be too much of a concern. In terms of the surrounding, as we can see, the area is pretty much already built, so I wouldn't worry much about potential construction noise in the future because the smaller plot here is part of Redhill Peaks that was launched in October 2025 BTO, right? I'm assuming that that project will be completed faster versus this Redhill BTO. So I think by the time this Redhill BTO is completed, it seems like you don't have to worry about construction noises from the surrounding areas because it's pretty much built. Now, in terms of view though, it seems like you can only get probably partially unblocked view for units that is facing this Gan Eng Seng Primary School. It seems like this is the very few limited low-rise buildings surrounding the plot. Other than that, the block that will face this Jalan Bukit Merah will have mixed views because some of the buildings here are tall, but some of them are short. So it depends exactly which block will you be able to get and which floor level you would have. Considering Redhill Peaks goes up to level 40 and 49, I'm assuming that this Redhill BTO will have similar heights. So I think if you get the top floors, you still have a chance to get some unblocked view if you face the Gan Eng Seng Primary School or facing this Jalan Bukit Merah, basically. Another potential unblocked view is probably the one facing this market because this Redhill market is a low-rise building. So you'd be able to get some unblocked view, of course, but not that much because the next building is high-rise. Okay, so what do I like about this project? I like that this project is within walking distance to MRT station, only 350 meters away, and definitely it will give you a short commute especially if you are working in the CBD area. I also like that the plot has a lot of amenities within walking distance, and if you're willing to take bus ride or MRT ride, you can even get a lot of things, right, from the neighboring areas. I also appreciate that there are several school options for primary and secondary school, so that would be good for families. Given that the location is near city center, within walking distance to MRT station, I do believe that this project would have a very high resale value in the future when you want to sell your unit, or if let's say you want to stay but you want to rent out some of your rooms. I think you would be able to do that easily as well. Do note that because of the prime restrictions, you would not be able to rent out the whole flat even after MOP. Another thing that I appreciate is that this project is a mega project with more than 1,000 units. So this will give you plenty of resale benchmark in the future in case you are willing to sell your flat later on. On the other hand, what don't I like about this project? Well, I think the BTO entry price is kind of high, but then on the same time, we have to understand as well that the nearby resale transaction values are high and the BTO price is benchmarked against that. So indeed, the entry price is kind of high compared to other project that is also launched in February 2026 BTO lineup. And then another thing that I don't like is obviously the restrictions. Prime restrictions are always a pain, right? With the 10-year MOP, income ceiling for future buyers, etc. But then at this point in time, strict restrictions is just part of the reality if you want a BTO in a great location. Another thing is that because the surrounding areas are already pretty much built, you would just have block views for most blocks. So that's another thing that you would have to put in mind. Living here is indeed just like urban lifestyle. You could not hope to see like plenty of greeneries or like ocean view or things like that, right? This is not the BTO for that. However, in summary, I do think that this project is the best in February 2026 BTO lineup, which is kind of ironic to say that because the neighboring plot, Redhill Peaks, when it was launched in October 2025 BTO, it has always been seen like the ugly stepsister of Berlaya Residences because it's located in the same town. But then most people apply to Bukit Merah because of Berlaya Residences, and Redhill Peaks is just like a side piece. But then fast forward to February, this plot, which is just next to Redhill Peaks, is the best location in the February lineup. So that's kind of crazy. But overall, I think this is a solid option if you want to apply in this February because again, it's in a mature town, it's within walking distance to MRT station, the amenities are great, the school options are available. So, and another thing that I would say, historically, if BTO is launched together with SBF, some of the applicants' attention will naturally goes to SBF, right? Like people who would normally apply for BTO, some of them will divert to apply for SBF instead. So actually, if you want to look at it from a positive angle, this is probably the time for you to secure this Bukit Merah location because I expect the application rate would be slightly lower versus if there's only BTO launch and no SBF at all. But that's my opinion. What do you think? Comment down below. Let's talk about Toa Payoh BTO. So this plot is located at Hill Avenue and will host 1,130 units of 2-room flexi, 3-room and 4-room flat. And the good news is, in terms of on-site facilities, it will have quite a lot because it will have a preschool, an eating house, a mini-mart, and several shops. Unfortunately, in terms of MRT station, according to Google Map, the nearest MRT station is Toa Payoh, which is about 1.6 kilometers away. So definitely not within walking distance, and you would need to ride a bus or have your own private vehicle. In terms of classification, personally, I think this project would be a plus because it's located in a mature town, but it's far away from MRT station. Judging based on how Oakville at Ang Mo Kio was classified back in October 2025, I think this project would have a similar classification, which is A+. However, I do see like some analysts on the news said that this will be prime. Oh my god, if this project becomes a prime, then I don't know what else to say. Now let's talk about the location. So this is the map that HDB gave, and then if we check the Google map, I believe the corresponding plot is basically this one. So as we can see here, the land plot is indeed quite big. That's why it can host more than 1100 units later on. However, do note that we can see that it's really literally next to an expressway. So if let's say you are lucky enough to get a queue number, don't forget to consider that when you pick your unit. If you are wondering where is the nearest MRT station, so it's literally here, Toa Payoh. According to Google Map, it's about 1.6 kilometers away. I did check whether it's closer to go to Potong Pasir instead, but it seems like it's not closer either according to Google Map. Surrounding the area, we can see that it's not really homey right now. At least this portion is industrial sites. There are other residential building around the area, which is at this part. But indeed, as you can see, it's quite far from amenities. I think that's why HDB will have an eating house, a mini mart, and several shops on the premise because amenities within walking distance is very limited. If we zoom in, there's actually a giant supermarket here. So I guess you can walk. It's about like 2 blocks away, so that's good. So if you see this big land plot here, so according to the map, that would be the Toa Payoh Regional Sports Center, Polyclinic, Library, and also Town Park. So even some of the facilities nearby, for example, like the Polyclinic, it will be relocated to Toa Payoh Regional Sports Center. And then even the community club seems like it will move as well. Other amenities that I can see is that there's this Kim Kiat Palm Market and Food Center. So I think it is several blocks away as well. But then again, for the most part, you would need to rely on feeder buses to get more amenities around the Toa Payoh area. So even though this location is located in a mature town, but it's kind of a bit far from the town central itself. So please take note of that into consideration. In terms of school options, if we look at the map from HDB, there are some schools, but not sure whether it's the type of schools that you are looking for. So for example, they have St. Andrews Junior College, and then there are also like several secondary school, some madrasah as well. So there are some school options, but I would say it's kind of limited. I do note that if we go to the west side, there are like CHIJ secondary school and also primary school. You have Raffles girls schools, but then in terms of the distance, not sure whether it's within 2 kilometers away because as you can see, even to Toa Payoh is already like 1.6 kilometers away, right? So I think it's a bit too far. Okay, so what do I like about this project? I think the on-site facilities are great because it will have a preschool, an eating house, a mini mart, and also several shops. So that's always good. In terms of distance to CBD area, especially if you are driving, definitely it's near to town. I also appreciate that this is a mega project with more than 1100 units. So this will give you plenty of resale benchmark when you are ready to sell your unit sometime down the road. And then in terms of school options, yeah, there are some school options as well, so I guess that's good. However, on the other side, what don't I like about this project? Definitely I don't like that it's far from the MRT station. Like 1.6 kilometers away is very far. And then when I check what bus pass through that particular road, currently there's only like 2 buses. So unless they added more bus routes that is covering this site, you could expect quite a lot of time for you to go to Toa Payoh MRT station before further commute to other destination. And then obviously being so close to the expressway is also a downside because, like it or not, some of the blocks will face the expressway, and that is a concern. And then also the surrounding area has that industrial feel. So not sure whether that is something that you are keen to have. And then definitely the entry price is something that we need to watch out for as well, because Toa Payoh historically is a mature town that has high resale transaction prices, so which will mean that it will also impact the BTO starting price. And then of course, with this project being restricted with the 10-year MOP, you cannot rent out the whole flat after MOP, etc. So the restriction is kind of harsh, especially because the location of this project is not really that great, if I'm being honest. So in summary, I think this location is not ideal, right? There's no point sugarcoating it, even though it is located in a mature town, but this particular spot is not very strategic. Probably it is suitable for those who drive or doesn't mind to take feeder buses, but then I think it will be challenging for you to rent out your rooms in this location. It will also be challenging for you to try to sell later on at a high price. So definitely this is the kind of project that would be more suitable if you want to buy for own stay. At first, when I saw the February 2026 lineup and I saw Toa Payoh, I was very excited. I thought it would be one of the star of the BTO launch. But then after looking at this particular site, right, I think this is one of those spot where it is in a mature town, but it's like tucked in a hidden area of a mature town. So yeah, that's something to think about, especially if you want to apply to this development. Let's talk about Tampines Central. So this project is bounded between Tampines Central 8 and Tampines Concourse, and it will have 250 units of 2-room flexi and 4-room flats. In terms of the on-site facility, it will have a preschool. If we look at the land plot, indeed it looks like quite small. However, the location is actually quite good, especially if you love the east area. In terms of classification, I'm guessing that this project will be categorized as A+. Why? Well, simply because it is within walking distance to MRT station, and Tampines, even though it's quite far from the central CBD area, but Tampines is very popular. Another telltale sign is that this project does not have any 5-room flat, and usually that's a sign that this project will be categorized as A+ or prime. But then because it's located in Tampines, I don't think this project will be a prime. So I'm guessing that this project will be A+. And as a spoiler, actually this is only one out of 2 plot that is within walking distance in the February 2026 BTO launch. So I'm guessing that this project will be super popular among the applicants for February 2026. Now let's talk about the location. Okay, so this is the map that HDB gave, and if we check the Google map, this is the corresponding map. So I believe that this is the plot between Tampines Concourse and Tampines Central. When I look at the map, I was wondering how come HDB did not use these 2 sites instead, because the other sites are much bigger, but instead they release this one, which is much smaller, only 250 something units. Anyway, so this location is actually quite good because you will be within walking distance to our Tampines Hub, which is located here. As you know, in Tampines Hub, there are plenty of things to do, right? They have like swimming pools, library, supermarket, hawker center, etc. So definitely this is good amenities. And then beyond Tampines Hub, you have bunch of other malls. You have Tampines Mall over here. And then you also have the Tampines Central shopping mall here as well. And then if you need to go around, of course, you can just take the MRT, which is within walking distance, or alternatively, the big bus interchange is also right here. So I believe that would be very convenient. So even though the on-site facility for this project is only a preschool, but I wouldn't mind because within walking distance, there are so many amenities that you can take advantage of. Now, if you like outdoor activities, there are 2 parks actually nearby. You have the Sun Plaza Park, which is over here, just within walking distance. And there's another park over here, which is the Tampines Central Park, but it is a bit smaller. In terms of the view, in this location, it seems like you might still have a chance to get an unblocked view at least temporarily, especially for blocks that will be facing this area because it's an open field, and then this one is like a bus interchange. But I don't know what's the plan in the future. Maybe they would build this up into something in the future, but at least for several years to come, it seems like this will still be empty, so you might be able to get an unblocked view at least for several years. I don't know until how long. If you are a Muslim, note that there's a masjid here, so that is convenient, just within walking distance. However, for non-Muslim, sometimes you guys are asking whether, the mosque will be noisy or not. Usually for mosques, their speaker is actually facing inwards, so you might be able to hear like certain prayer calls from outside, but it should not be too pronounced. So I don't think that you need to be worried about it at all. However, note that for Friday afternoon time, right, there's Friday prayer, and then there are certain times of the year where there will be like masses. So in such scenario, for example, like for Hari Raya or on Friday prayer, the road might be a little bit busy than usual. So that's a heads up. But for me personally, it's not a showstopper. It's not something to worry about. It should be okay. Now let's talk about the school options. So in terms of school options, there are some school options around the area. As you can see, HDB has kindly indicated which ones are the school options around the area, so I think that's good. So for families, honestly, I wouldn't be worried about school options. It seems like there's quite a lot of school options around the area, so I think that's good. Probably another thing to note is because this is Tampines, Changi is just nearby, so I am guessing that if you live in Tampines area, like it or not, you would hear more like plane noises around the area. So just a heads up. But I'm sure if you apply to Tampines, you already know that that's part of the risk, right? So what do I like about this project? Well, I appreciate that this project is still within walking distance to Tampines MRT station as well as the bus interchange. So I think that's good for people who rely on public transportation. And I also love that this location is really nearby a lot of amenities, including malls, our Tampines hubs, hawker centers, library, etc. So definitely great surrounding areas. And because of the location is very attractive, I am confident that this plot would have a high resale and also room rental value in the future. But note that because of the restrictions, you will not be able to rent out the whole flat even after MOP. So take note of that. And I also like that if you still have kids that is in school age, there are some school options in the area for your kids. So I think that's also good. So what don't I like about this project? Well, I think this project will be super competitive because it's located in a mature town. It's still within walking distance to MRT station, which unfortunately, that doesn't happen much in this February 2026 BTO launch. And it is a very small project, only 250 something units, right? So in terms of probability during balloting, this one will be very brutal. And then another thing that I don't like is that there is a ballot risk because for February, there are two projects that is being offered in Tampines. This one at Tampines Central, and then the other one is at Tampines Avenue. But then the problem is, the other project is very far from MRT station. The other one is not within walking distance, but this one is. So that would mean that if, let's say, you apply for Tampines Town with the hope to apply for this particular project, but then you get a terrible queue number, you might end up only left with choices from the other Tampines Avenue plot. So in that scenario, you would either have to take the Tampines Avenue plot or you need to forfeit, but then you would risk to take the penalty from HDB, right? So I think that will be very problematical. And then in terms of entry price, I think this one is also on the higher side in terms of entry price, simply because HDB always benchmark the BTO price against the nearby resale prices. But then Tampines being such a mature town, the prices are already high. So as a result, the BTO prices are also high as well. Another thing that I don't like is that this project has a very tiny two-room flexi allocation for singles. So personally, if I am applying as a single applicant, I would not pick Tampines this time around, simply because the competition level would be brutal, man. Like I would rather pick something else, probably Bukit Merah. I think that would give a much better chance for me. But in summary, I still think that if you do like the East area and you like Tampines in general, this project is actually quite solid. This time around, actually, I'm not bothered by the fact that this development only has 250 units. I'm not worried about resale benchmark in the future. I think even though you don't have many resale transaction for this particular development later on, I believe that you still be able to get a good price if you want to resell your unit down the line. The amenities surrounding the area is just fantastic. And also if you think about room rental potential later on, right? You can imagine for people who are working around Changi area or maybe Expo area, they would be drawn to Tampines location. So I think this is a solid option. Another thing is that for the February 2026 launch for BTO, unfortunately, this is like one out of two decent option in the whole batch. At the moment, I'm guessing actually Tampines town would get the highest application rate in the February 2026. Why? Because the area is in demand, the supply is very small, only 500 something for the total town of Tampines. And then the competition in the February lineup is also not very good in terms of BTO lineup. Of course, SBF is another story. Yeah, but I think this project is good, but it's just that you will have a very stiff competition from other applicants. That's it. Let's talk about Tampines Avenue BTO. So there will be two plots offered in February 2026 BTO launch, Tampines Central and this one Tampines Avenue. The easiest way to explain is this plot is the one that is further away from MRT station. This one is not within walking distance to MRT station. According to the Google map, this is about 1.1 kilometer away from Tampines MRT station. However, having said that, based on the map, the road in front of the land plot actually is a major road. There's like about 11 buses that goes through that path. So hopefully that means that even though it's not within walking distance to an MRT station, it is still reasonably easy to go around, especially if you have so many buses just outside the premise. In terms of on-site facilities, this project will have a preschool and an eating house. The size of the project itself is kind of small. It will only have about 280 units of 3-room and 4-room. So note that there are no 2 rooms here. In terms of classification, I'm guessing that this project will be categorized as a standard simply because it's located far away from the central area, and then it's also not within walking distance to any MRT station. But we'll see how it goes. Lately, HDB is full of surprises, so we'll see whether they will, slap this with a plus, but I'm hoping this will just be a standard project. Now let's talk about the location. So this is the map that HDB gave. The plot is right here, opposite the Chongseng Primary School. So if we go to Google Map, it seems that this is basically the plot. Currently, it's an empty plot. And then as we can see, there's a Tampines fair price here. And then also there are some eating houses and shops along the road. And then there's also another like Tampines Round Market and Food Center over here. And then if you're wondering where is Tampines MRT station, it's basically over here. So several bus stops away. So indeed, this location is not near any MRT station. You would need to take a bus. However, what I did is that I checked like what buses actually stops in this particular bus stop, which is nearest to the land plot. And apparently there's actually quite a lot. I calculate there's like 11 buses or something that goes through that particular bus stop. So it seems that even though the location is quite far away from any MRT station, you wouldn't have a big problem to just take a bus to any MRT station. Tampines West is over here, as you can see. And then Tampines East MRT station is on the other side. This one. You could pretty much go to 3 different MRT stations depending on which bus you catch just on this bus stop. So that's good. In terms of school options, there's a primary school just opposite the road. So that's good. There's even another primary school next to it. And then Yeah, if we look at the map, there are several primary and secondary schools within the 2 kilometer radius, so that's good. So I think this location is still suitable for families as well. For amenities, objectively within walking distance, it seems that there are only like maybe HDB shops around the area. There's not much, but then again, if you're willing to take a bus just to go elsewhere, you can find more amenities. For example, Tampines Mall is just over here, and then of course you can also go to our Tampines Hub where you can find hawker center, library, etc. Or you could probably take a bus to go to Simei where they also have a mall over there. Another good thing about the land plot is probably that it is quite far away from expressway, so you would not get like direct exposure to the expressway, but then again, it is still near enough. If you have your own vehicle, you can just take the expressway to go to different parts of the city. Okay, so what do I like about this location? I appreciate that it has good on-site facilities, because at least it will have an eating house on top of the standard preschool. I think the school options are also quite plentiful, which is important especially for families. You have several primary schools just within walking distance, and there are secondary schools as well. So I think school options are actually quite good for this location. And then regarding connectivity, even though this location is far from any MRT station within walking distance, however, there seems to be plenty of buses just outside the premise. So it should still be easy enough for you to commute around the town. And because there are like 11 bus that goes through that particular bus stop, it seems like your waiting time should not be that long either. You would have a lot of alternatives. Now on the other side, what don't I like about this spot? Well, again, there's no two-room flexi at all. So sorry for singles and seniors, this is not the project for you. Another thing that I don't like is that ideally, I would prefer a location where it is within walking distance to MRT station. However, again, as mentioned, the bus connectivity in this area sounds good. And then if you apply for Tampines Town, there's always a ballot race. You can either apply for this project or the other project depending on your queue number. But then again, to be fair, the other Tampines plot, which is at Tampines Central, is objectively better because it has more amenities and MRT station within walking distance. So, this Tampines Avenue spot is actually like the worst out of two. So, in summary, what do I think about this project? I think if you like the East area, this is still a decent option, especially if we consider that this project will be categorized as a standard, which means that it has less restrictions, only 5-year MOP, no income ceiling for future resale buyer. You can rent out the whole flat even after MOP, so that's good. I would say that this project is actually quite decent, especially if you are open-minded to take buses to most places. So if the pricing makes sense for you and then you don't mind taking bus and then you love the East area, I think Tampines Town is something that you can definitely apply for in February 2026 BTO launch. Let's talk about the Sembawang BTO. So actually, there will be two Sembawang location being released in February 2026. The sites are nearby each other, although not exactly side by side. But if we look at the map, basically they will just be separated by like a park or something. So I think it makes sense to just talk about them together. So the first site is bigger because it will host 1,160 units of 2-room flexi, 4-room, and also 5-room flat. And the on-site facility there will be a preschool. Now the second site is actually smaller. It will host about 760 units of 2-room flexi, 3-room, 4-room, and 5-room flat. But interestingly, in terms of the on-site facilities, this smaller site will actually have more on-site facilities because it will have a preschool, an eating house, a mini-mart, and several shops. And we can't talk about these two BTO projects without talking about the Sembawang shipyard transformation. So the Sembawang shipyard transformation is basically this. So this is the master plan. And then those two BTOs are basically somewhere along here. So not exactly on the waterfront, but it will be very close with the Sembawang shipyard transformation itself. So the two BTO will be right over here. So not exactly waterfront, however, it will be within walking distance to the new amenities that will be established later on. Regarding the Sembawang shipyard transformation itself, well, for background, the Sembawang shipyard is scheduled to stop operations in 2028. And the government has big plans to turn it into a really cool new spot for Singaporeans. They want to transform it into a mixed-use waterfront area for living and leisure while still keeping that unique maritime feel. The government is also exploring waterfront homes, dining, shopping, and recreation along the coastline. The site has a lot of history. It was a naval base and a major commercial shipyard, and the vision is to use its awesome coastline to create a vibrant hub. It will feature public walkways and green spaces, bringing residents and visitors right up to the water's edge for some sea breeze. For me personally, I'm curious whether there will be new MRT station for this Sembawang shipyard redevelopment. And when I checked online, it said that up to now, there is no new MRT station announced for Sembawang shipyard redevelopment. However, there are some potential new connectivity in the future, whether they want to leverage the Sungai Kedut MRT or maybe anchor it to Woodlands MRT station, or probably just make it part of the upcoming Silitar line. So that is not yet finalized. Personally, I have confidence with Singapore government. I think they will improve the connectivity for this area. I don't know yet how, but I'm sure they will figure out something. In terms of project classification, although these two projects will be sort of part of the Sembawang shipyard transformation, however, I think these two projects will be classified as standard BTO. Another telltale sign that we can use is that both of them have like 5 rooms. So typically that's a sign that it will be classified as a standard BTO, which is good. But if you think about it, if indeed that this will be launched in February as one of the affordable option, and then there will be an upcoming MRT station one day, and then it is also near the Sembawang shipyard transformation area. You know, these two projects could be the hidden dragons of February 2026 BTO lineup, you know, because you could probably buy it at a reasonable price, but then the value might increase significantly in the future, especially if the Sembawang shipyard area is truly going to be transformed into like this very cool heritage waterfront town. And with that, let's talk about the location. So this is the HDB map, and then if we check on Google Map, this is basically the corresponding site. So the 1,000 something unit, the bigger site is this one, and then the smaller plot would be this one. It will be separated by like a park or something. If we zoom out, the Sembawang shipyard transformation area would be this part. So definitely within walking distance from the BTO that is going to be launched in this February. So if indeed that the transformation goes as per plan, I think it will be a very interesting change for the area. At the moment, there are like limited amenities within walking distance. I think that's why one of the site that we are discussing today would have great on-site facilities with eating house, mini mart, etc. But then other than that, there are some amenities. For example, you have the Fortune supermarket here, and then you have some shops and eating houses. But of course, for more amenities, you would need to take a bus ride to Sembawang area or even to other parts of the town. Near Sembawang MRT itself, you have the Bukit Canberra Hawker Center, and then you also have the Sun Plaza. And then there's also Raffles Medical Sembawang Way. So there are some amenities, but then you just have to make an effort to go there. In terms of school options, as you can see on the map, there are several primary and secondary school and even special education school. So I think that's good. But then as you can see, these two BTO right now as it is quite far from MRT station. It would be interesting to know whether the government is planning any new MRT station with the Sembawang Shipyard transformation plan. So we'll see how it goes, because if indeed they are building something there, then it will be more convenient for the residents of these two BTOs. So what do I like about these two BTOs? Well, among the February 2026 BTO lineup, these two are the affordable option. And then I also appreciate that it will come with the standard restrictions. It will just have the 5-year MOP, and then after that, you can rent out the whole flat if you want to. And then I also like that these two projects combined will bring about 2,000 flats in total. So there will be plenty of resale benchmark if, let's say, in the future you would like to sell your unit. And then definitely the Sembawang Shipyard transformation is a good news, because as you can see, the area as it is lacking in terms of amenities. With the area being transformed, I think, at least from the plan and from the photos, with the transformation, at least from the pictures, it looks very exciting actually. If indeed it pushed through, it will be a fantastic addition to the area. And then I'm also hoping that with the new Sembawang Shipyard transformation, they will bring in additional MRT station. I think it is very needed for these two BTO, because otherwise you will be stuck to rely on feeder buses to Sembawang MRT. And then I also appreciate that the area still have some options for primary and secondary school. I think it's very important for families. If you look at it from financial standpoint, if indeed these two BTOs are the budget options in the February 2026 BTO launch, and indeed there will be Sembawang Shipyard transformation in near future, then that could potentially be very beneficial, because you can imagine that it will really drive the value up if indeed the area is being transformed. So who knows? This could be the hidden gems in this February launch. Now, on the other hand, what are the things that I don't like about this project? So currently, as it is, these two locations are very far from MRT station. One is 1.5 kilometers away. The other one is 1.2 kilometers away. So definitely not within walking distance. Until a new MRT station is built, then you would need to rely on feeder buses or your private vehicle. And then we also have to be realistic. With the area still being transformed, it will be noisy and dusty for several years to come. If you look at the plot, even surrounding the area, there are still empty plots, which means that beyond the Sembawang Shipyard transformation development itself, there could potentially be other HDBs to be built, maybe even condos, I don't know. And then until the area is being transformed, the reality is you have not so much nearby amenities within walking distance. And until the area is fully developed, the reality is you have very limited amenities within walking distance. And then as it is right now, you have limited resale and also rental potential. Another thing to consider is that even though the Sembawang Shipyard transformation plan is very exciting, but then the timeline for such big transformation can swing by many years, especially if there are factors that is beyond our control, right? So for example, if let's say there's a global financial crisis or another pandemic or something like that, then it could push the transformation plan by many, many years, which we cannot control that at all. But in summary, I think these two projects are worth considering if you like the Sembawang area. This could be the hidden gems if indeed the Sembawang Shipyard transformation plan really pushed through and really up to the hype. It will be even better if there will be an MRT station in the future, but again, it is not confirmed yet. But if we objectively just assess these two plots as it is right now, it's kind of in the Ulu area. So that is something that I want you to be cautious about. I would say that at the moment, these two BTOs are more suitable for own stay, but it's not really something that you buy in the hope of becoming a millionaire one day. So that's my take. But what do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you would like to know more about other projects, go to my channel because I have plenty of content about this topic. To support my work, you can give a one-time tip by pressing the thanks button, pick the amount that you want, and click buy and send. Or you can also press the join button for exclusive contents and monthly membership. Your support means a lot to keep us independent. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!